is found in our intellectual plane, we are sent back home not accepting the journey, and we will not be admitted into the new and advanced type of government and administration. Since the activity is conducted by nature, since nature has no obligations with any fellow, there will be no exception to this rule, and we have to continue with our difficulties and troubles and warlike nature and the little battles until we cure ourselves of the insincerity in using these terms, until we cure ourselves from the insincerity in using these terms. The Aquarian age necessitates a total healing. It may accept physical disease because it is only a temporary phase which can at best exist until the end of this body. But it never accepts mental disease and moral disease, which when permitted will come with us as a tendency into the next birth. This is the process to which we are submitted now in the present age of Aquarius, and this process of struggle will be there for some time more. And if we ask the astrologer how long such a process, such a struggle exists, the answer is the magnitude of the period depends upon our own behavior. That is the answer, because the key is with us and not with the astrologer. So that's why I said here that the concepts of races, nations and governments undergo big changes. So this continues until every one of us has a willful submission to the spirit of Aquarius. So they pave the way for the one kingdom of God. There is so much struggle because the activity of nature is directed towards the kingdom of God, directed towards the kingdom of God. If we want the kingdom of God, the political and the economic kingdoms also should be kingdoms of God. Kingdom of God is not merely theology, and it does not exist only in churches and temples. Every one of us should be a church and a temple, and the heart should be a sanctum sanctorum, where the image of devil should be replaced by the image of God. That's why so much struggle is necessitated in the beginning of this age. So, where man lives as a citizen of the world. This is the ideal of the Aquarian age. The human being should live as a citizen of the world. That means a German goes to India, he should feel at home with India. If an Indian comes to Germany, he should feel at home with Germany. It is possible with Germany and India more easily than with some more countries. For example, a Russian who goes to America and an American who goes to Russia, then a German going to India and an Indian going to Germany. Why? The reasons you know. It is the political way of misunderstanding one nation the other. So, until this black magic is being sorted out, until all nations feel the citizenship of the world, the struggle on the individual and the national scale exists. Another step is admixture of races is necessitated. Generally speaking, every race tries to keep up its identity and purity separately. But when the Aquarian age comes, the tendency for fusion of races and nations will be there. We can call it the total human personality of this year. He is consciously directing the races towards new blends and a better specimens of human race. In the beginning of every Aquarian age, this tendency will be stimulated, and there is a large scale fusion of races on an international level. That's why I said here, admixture of races is necessitated. At the same time, there is a section of people which goes on complaining that the humanity is going into wrong lines. At the same time, the admixture of nations is made compulsory. There is another group of humanity which is taking the advanced steps. After some time, there will be once again a compromise of values between the two parties. That is the orthodox group and the modern group. This goes on from generation to generation. Finally, the one group always accepts the other group with much opposition. This is how it happens. So, admixture of races is necessitated to fuse all the planetary principles into one perfection. Planetary principles. You can understand this on the basis of astrology. You know that everyone has an astrological theme or birth chart which indicates his progressive aspects and his negative aspects. And everyone should strive to encourage his positive aspects in the horoscope and discourage his negative aspects. Whether we know our horoscope or not, whether we believe in the effects of the planets or not, consciously or unconsciously, we are trying to do the same. But sometimes we approach wrongly and we accept defeat in life by permitting the negative forces to take a deeper root in us. But one thing is certain, no one can consciously make an attempt to go deeper into his negative values. Everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to be happier. Everyone wants to have better understanding and a better companionship, better way of living and better economic and social values. That means humanity at heart is essentially positive and making only positive attempts. Wherever there is trouble, it is only a wrong understanding of the right thing and not at all a wrong intention. No one wants to spoil himself or kill himself by wrong intentions. A wrong way of approach, a wrong behavior towards right attitude. Therefore, nature always keeps things in such a way, all the negative aspects in everyone are of a temporary value, whereas the positive aspects are of a progressive value. For example, the bad habits I have will end with this body, whereas the good habits we practice upon the indweller, sponsoring a positive step in the next body. So nature always provides for something better. So everyone on this earth is trying to be happier, and this attempt gives a drive into the further steps, and the humanity is forced to take better trends again and again, make new blends and produce the best of its individual life, so that each generation, knowingly or unknowingly, contributes to something better. This is peculiarly necessitated by nature. So, always the individuals are contributors of a nation, and nations contribute to internationalism, and internationalism contributes to a better blend of humanity. This is the end towards which Manu continuously drives humanity. So the tendencies for admixture on international level will produce children of international nativity who gradually form into a new race. This new race will have the better blend of all the existing human values. Towards that end is directing us. So, with the intelligence and common sense we have, it is also our duty to cooperate with the effort of the Manu. I told you that the human being is created as a creator on this earth. Every one of us has creative capabilities. We should recognize them as soon as possible and understand that we can create either good or evil on an individual level. We should try to contribute our creative capability to create something positive, good and feasible, so that our attempt is in tune with the attempt of the Manu. I will give you a little example. Suppose the whole humanity is taking its journey on a big ship. The ship is floating on water in the ocean. Anyone, if he jumps from the ship into the ocean, will endanger his life and die. But at the same time, if someone is taking his bath in a tub in the ship, there is water in the tub also, apart from the water on which the ship is floating. So, apart from the planetary waters, apart from the international waters, we have our individual water. That is the field of our individual action. Suppose anyone fills the tub completely with water and tries to commit suicide in drowning himself in the tub. It is quite possible. So, death by water is possible without jumping into the ocean. Or taking a bath and coming out fresh is also possible. Such is the creative capacity of individuals. We have every responsibility to see that the ship makes a disembarking of all the passengers intact without any casualties. That is the duty of the individuals on this earth. If at all a human individual can understand this carefully, the best understanding is possible only in the Aquarian age. This is what this sentence means. Admixture of races is necessitated to fuse all the planetary principles into one perfection. The masters are also working. The masters are also working to that end. For example, my master CVV, many times humorously remarked that he came to earth to reduce the thankless duty of Saturn. It is a symbolic statement. That means we, the humanity, respond to the vibrations of Saturn, often in terms of difficulties and inconveniences, very rarely in terms of convenience and understanding, because the purpose of Saturn is the elimination of misunderstanding, elimination of hasty way of doing things, and elimination of impatience, irritability, misunderstanding. You know how he does it? He presents a mirror to us. Whatever piece of misbehavior we show, we will see immediately in the mirror, in the form of the result of what we do. If you look into the mirror and say, "Sir, good morning," you will receive the same answer. If you say, "You fool," you will receive the same answer. If you smile, you will be smiled at. If you make mouths at the mirror, then you will receive the same thing. So Saturn places a mirror before every fellow. And whenever we are impatient, we will receive a hit to the head. And we learn that we should not dash our head to the wall like that. So, we are not yet perfect. Our vehicles are not yet so pure as to meet Saturn happy terms. But Saturn is anticipating for a very long time to see human beings who meet him with a smiling face. That means the purification of the vehicles of the present race as soon as possible. And by way of imparting spiritual discipline, my master wanted to reduce the unhappiness of Saturn among his disciples. That is what he meant by saying that he was trying to relieve the unpleasantness of Saturn and relieve him from the thankless job of tackling the pupil. Every master is doing the same thing. That is, he is trying to be an interpreter between the planets and the individual, so that we may receive the lessons of the planets and understand them, put them in practice. This is what all the masters do. The discipline they offer is only by way of suggestion and no enforcement. We are left to ourselves whether to undergo the discipline or not. If we undergo the discipline, the purification will be done immediately. If we are not willing to undergo the discipline, we cannot escape it, but we are postponing it to a later date, that's all. Someday or other, everyone has to undergo the discipline and get vehicle purified. Then only we can enter into the real spirit of Aquarian age. So, the next step is there will be a new race with all these fused principles, and this race is prepared in group level under the influence of Leo. You know that there are individuals born under each of the 12 signs. They cannot do anything in this respect. All are strong in their own way and all are weak in their own way. The 12 groups of humanity born under the 12 signs, each is having his own strong points and weak points. So, the zodiacal signs are controlling not only the individuals, but also the regions of the world. Certain areas are controlled by a zodiacal sign, and groups of individuals are also controlled by these signs. When the time for the new race comes, the first members of that new race, they are born in different parts of the world, but they are all governed by the same zodiacal sign. For the present, the members of the new sub-race are governed by the sign Leo. We should not think that all those who are born under the sign Leo belong to the advanced race. For example, I am born under Leo and our Inge is born under the sign Leo. Please translate. And if Inge and myself sit down and say that we are members of the sixth sub-race, it is upset. So, a group is governed by the Leo, not an individual. That group exists in all parts of the world, not one place. And gradually, through rebirths, that group is stabilized into a new race. So, races and nations do not exist in a limited place, as it is often wrongly understood in a political sense. Here, races should be understood in the light of evolution and spiritualism. Every nation contains a few members of the advanced race. It all depends upon our proving the fitness. Individuals who are ready and fit, individuals who are ready and fit will be picked up, given but the amount of advancement of their vehicles. They begin to behave something different from the other races existing, and they undergo the evolution with a more speedy succession, and after some births and rebirths. Also, new people who were not present last year, I wanted to introduce these few people once again the topic into the seminar, and during the next few days before our seminar is completed, I can spend about half an hour to this subject and the remaining 1 hour to our study of spiritual astrology. And within 5 minutes now, I will tell you the limitations of the system I have introduced to you, the advantages and the disadvantages. The system gives us a correct idea about the rough span of everyone. For example, if according to a horoscope, you can know if the average span is 80 years or 50 years or 40 years, then you can try to predict according to the rough scope of the total span. There is more scope to apply your common sense when you can have a rough idea of the total span of the person. This is one advantage of this system. By looking into the horoscope itself, you can understand in which period and in which sub-period the person has danger to his life and the average span of that person. In that way, it is advantageous. The limitations or disadvantages of this system are this works correctly only if we know the ascendant exactly to the degrees and minutes. Then we have a horoscope with a doubtful time of birth. Even the doubt is about 10 minutes. then the degree and merit of the ascendant differs. Then the balance of the sub-period at birth will go wrong, and all the other periods in this span will go wrong. This is a limitation which we cannot help with this system. Every system has its own advantages, but every system has its own limitations also. For example, our secondary directions, which we call normally the progression of the horoscope, it has its own separate advantages. For example, if you can calculate the time when the birth, sun, moon and ascendant are afflicted, then the person's life will be endangered during that time. In this way, the people who follow the progression method calculate the span. It is easy, but we get many permutations and combinations. That means, for example, many times the three centers are afflicted, and many times the person goes into disadvantage, and many times survives the situations before the actual death occurs. So the astrologer tries to kill the person many times before he actually dies. So like that, every system has its own disadvantages. We should understand the disadvantages also of this new system which I introduced. Unless you know how to rectify the birth chart through the prenatal epoch method, you cannot directly apply this method safely. And after working about a few hundreds of horoscopes through the prenatal epoch method, we come to understand even that method is not infallible. We have peculiar cases which are not vulnerable to that method. And another disadvantage of this method is, if the birth moon is more strong than the birth ascendant, then the ascendant degree fails to respond to the periods and sub-periods. You have to calculate the periods according to the degree and unit of the birth moon instead of birth ascendant. So this is the second disadvantage. Of course, in cases where there is no doubt, this method gives you good results. Unless you verify the incidents up to a certain age, you can't be sure whether you are going in the right direction or wrong direction. For example, this method gives sure readings of certain incidents. Purely personal incidents like ill health and periods of mental difficulties and retardations and place changes. These things can be surely spotted out and located according to this method, and only when a few such incidents tally, then you can apply to the future. Of course, this disadvantage is with all the other methods and systems also. Now, before ending this topic today, I will give you a few points of common sense about applying this system and the interpretation and symbolism of these 27 arcs. Of course, I promised that I would give you this year, but I could not prepare the material for two reasons. One is, there are no books till now in which this material is collected and prepared. It is all distributed in various Sanskrit books, and I have mentally correlated when I introduced the subject to you. And what I had to do last year was, I had to consult all the concerning portions of the ancient scriptures and extract from the symbolic passages the interpretation, which I could not do since all my time was occupied by Geneva people. Yes. I had to prepare much material to Geneva Center, and also my work in India was particularly too busy last year. I had no time even to sit at a place for 10 days. That particular aspect I hope to do this year and bring some material, valuable material to you when I come next. But I will give you a few points which are useful for you to apply the method by yourself within the limitations. The traditional interpretations of the planets holds good in this system also. For example, what sun means in traditional astrology, the same thing applies to sun period. Like that for moon period. And when sun is, for example, in Gemini for a horoscope, when that sun period occurs, the same thing is to be applied as you study in standard astrology textbooks under the chapter Sun in Gemini. This is one point you can take. So all the traditional information you can as it is make use of. And the second point is when a sub-period of another planet is occurring, for example, a person's sun period is running and moon's sub-period is running, then you are expected to correlate the results of sun and moon. Suppose sun is in Gemini and moon is in Virgo for a particular horoscope, you remember the results of sun in Gemini and moon in Virgo separately and apply together with the readings of the houses. For example, if the sun in Gemini is in 12th house, you can apply 12th house affairs during the 6 years of sun period. That is a period when the person is helpless in some respects because it is the 12th house and his movements are restricted not as before, because 12th house means restriction of movements, and if the sun is afflicted, the restricted movements will be due to some sickness of a prolonged nature, either for himself or for one member in the family. Like that you have to apply. And in moon's sub-period, suppose the moon is in the 3rd house. Moon in Virgo indicates some importance of the incidents relating to the ladies in the domestic circle, and if the moon is afflicted, it indicates some unfavorable period to some lady in the house. It may be ill health, which you can verify elsewhere in the horoscope. But if moon is strong, for example, if the moon is having a sextile Venus at birth, and the Venus also not much afflicted at birth, then whenever moon's sub-period occurs in any main period, for example, the moon's sub-period in sun's period, moon's sub-period in moon's period, moon's sub-period in Mars period, like that, whenever moon's sub-period occurs to that person, something good and positive will occur to a lady in the house. For example, it may be the marriage of a sister or marriage of a daughter, like that, of a daughter. And also most probably in the following combinations of sub-periods, during these sub-periods, it may be the main period of one planet and the sub-period of another planet, either way. For example, it may be Venus sub-period in moon's period or moon's sub-period in Venus period. In all these combinations, when these two planets are not much afflicted, some gathering of a very good auspicious incident occurs. That is, the friends and the relatives gather, and there will be incidents like marriages or building a house or purchasing a flat or bettering the environment. For example, the old house is made new. Such things happen. No. When they are seriously afflicted, clearly they will give wrong, unhappy incident, especially to the woman in the house. And also a serious affliction to the person in his social or vocational life, that is professional, because of the foolishness of some woman, like that. Moon opposition Uranus, moon sextile, it is a highly exciting time to the person. Yes, we have to once again look into the birth horoscope to find out if the lower nature of the person is working or his higher nature is working. If the lower nature is working, the whole combination gives a dangerous result. That is an undesirable way of breaking convention and some undesirable relationships with the opposite sex. That is one incident. And if the person belongs to a higher side of evolution, then the presence of a lady will elevate him into spiritual matter. Or if the horoscope is still of a higher nature, during that period he receives a great elevation of his inspirational nature and he produces a wonderful piece of art in his life. For example, a piece of romantic poetry or a type of art and picture painting, and he experiences the period in a filtered and elevated way. So, such double aspects should be very carefully interpreted. But definitely when the moon's sub-period and the Venus sub-period occurs in such a horoscope, clearly the person's mind is in a highly excited state. If he belongs to an emotional or an astral nature, it is a dangerous period. And if he belongs to an inspirational nature, one who has purified his astral plane, then it gives him a high spiritual experience and a new contact which is of an extraordinary nature. So always double aspects involving one positive aspect and one negative aspect, they should be carefully observed. Always the principle of application is the same. If the person belongs to a higher nature, the positive aspect gains strength. For example, the sextile. If he belongs to a lower nature, the good aspect also contributes to the negative aspect. That is how we have to look at it. So, tomorrow I will give you some more points and we will go into the continuation of yesterday's subject for the next half an hour. Vayvasvata Manu, the prototype in heaven of the perfect man, prototype in heaven of the perfect man, takes up the role of the ruler of the new race. That is, during every Aquarian age, such a thing happens because the people who work on the background are the Manu of that period and Sanat Kumara and all the staff with Shambhala begin to stimulate. Sanat Kumara is the lord of the administration on the spiritual plane. Lord of the administration on the spiritual plane. No, that is ruler. Rulership. That is what a ruler is to the political field. Sanat Kumara is the lawmaker of the spiritual field in that period of earth. It comes from the scriptures. Yes, Puranas and Itihasas. Yes, and it is taken by Blavatsky for the first time to explain what it is. And about more than 600 pages have been devoted by Blavatsky to explain the principle of Sanat Kumara. And in the books of the Tibetan, many hundreds of pages are devoted. So we can just take it for granted and proceed. So Sanat, just like Manu, Sanat Kumara is also a cosmic principle. The word Sanat means eternally periodical. For example, we have the word Sanatana in Sanskrit, and Sanat Kumara got his name because of his periodically applying nature to the laws that govern the solar system, and subordinately the laws that govern the planetary government of our earth. That's the reason why he got the name Sanat Kumara. And according to the allegory, which explains some more things, four such people simultaneously came into existence whenever a solar system makes its manifestation. They are called Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara and Sanat Sujata. All are eternally periodical principles. Therefore, they have the prefix Sana, and they are allegorically described as expressed out from the four faces of the Creator. Brahma, the Creator, who is symbolically expressed as four faces. From the four faces, four Kumaras came into existence, and from the Manas, that is mind of Brahma, another, a fifth Kumara came into existence, and he is called Narada. This is how the allegory goes. And the moment these five people are born, the Creator expected them to take up the function of creation. They refused to create, and the Creator asked them, why you refuse? They said, if we begin to create, we get stuck up in the chain action of cause and effects, and we get bondage in mind and matter. That's why we refuse to create, they said. And the Creator was surprised to see how they felt intuitively the after effects of creation. Then he could understand that this fellow Narada was teaching them not to create. Then the Creator cursed all the four sons to get themselves deeply buried in the creation as long as the creation continues, and give their presence to every living being in this creation, so that that individual may be lifted into spiritual path the moment he comes mentally into focus with good line of thinking. This is the curse that is given to these four Kumaras, and since then in every atom of this creation we have the presence of these four Kumaras as the basic Christ principles of this creation. And he cursed the fifth fellow Narada